What's going on, everybody? C4 here. Welcome back to the channel. We're going to do some grades and talk about the Eagles' loss to the Giants. My light's still not working. I got the new Xbox, and I did something to my power bar where my light's just, I don't know, it doesn't connect. It's frustrating. So rather than looking like my best self, it probably makes sense just to have a somber evening. Dim the lights just a little bit because it's a somber day for the Philadelphia Eagles. Just, I don't know. Maybe people think that I would rage just to be like a tilting video or something like that. It's really not. I literally did not watch the last. Eagles had, I think, 2 offensive drives when I stopped watching. Like this, it was still on, but I just wasn't paying attention at all. Like my kid wanted to play Xbox on the new TV, and I was like, all right, man, turn the game off. I'll put it on my phone, and I just kind of had it there. I have no idea how the game actually ended, but it's one of those things. It is honestly one of those things. I'm at a point in time which, like, if it's not worth my time to, if they're not making it worth my time to watch Eagles football, the way the season has gone this year, it's just one of those things where if I have other things to do, so be it. Usually, I'm like any of you diehard football fans out there. When it's Sunday on football, book off the day. Not doing a damn thing. But here we go. This was the tilting point for the Philadelphia Eagles for me this year, where it's like, you know what? If I miss a game, so be it. I probably know what happened. It was probably not complimentary football. And like that was the worst thing about this game against the Giants. Is usually Philadelphia doesn't play complimentary football, but at least one unit shows up. Right? There's a week where the offense, Carson Wentz, all those guys are firing on on all cylinders. The play calling's good and the defense sucks. And then there'll be a week where Jim Schwartz actually has the guys ready to play, and Carson Wentz can't do anything. The play calling can't do anything. The offensive line can't do anything. And today, credit to the Eagles, this is what we accomplished over the bye week was we're going to make sure no one showed up. We might as well just been on bye and forfeited. This was such a bad game. Such a bad game. I have no positives. There was not any positives whatsoever from this matchup. I will say right now, the only thing I really will talk about the Giants deserved to win that game. They were, by every standard, the better team. Every single position on the Giants was better than the Eagles. Like, usually the one constant for Philadelphia is Jason Kelce at center, and he was terrible today. Had so many bad snaps. What was that about? How do you just have that is the biggest representation of how unprepared the Eagles were coming off the bye week, is that our best player, the best center in the NFL, literally just forgot how to snap today. So, going through some grades, Carson Wentz, 21 of 37, 200 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. No turnovers. We saw some good throwaway. We saw some good things from Carson Wentz, but ultimately, I hate to sound like a guy that's defending, like a Carson Wentz truther. He can't do no wrong, blinded by my faith that he will turn it around. But this wasn't on Carson Wentz. The play calling was terrible. I don't think, for the 3.5 quarters that I watched of this game, there was any throw that Carson Wentz should have made that he missed. The play calling was terrible. No one was getting open. There was no shots downfield. And the shots downfield were either a good play from the Giants defense or it was just a lack of playmaking from the wide receivers. Fulham had a couple tough catches that couldn't bring in. Jalen Reagor going up against James Bradbury. That was a hell of a play from James Bradbury. Why are you targeting literally the only good corner on the Giants with a rookie that's just barely starting to get his feet underneath him here in this season versus going to maybe one of the hottest wide receivers in the NFL in Fulham or getting Alshon Jeffrey back and involved in the lineup? So really, Carson Wentz didn't do anything wrong today. If there was an argument, it was just he didn't make any plays. And maybe that's going to be the trade-off that we have to have. Do you want Carson Wentz in a game like this to make some plays out of nothing? Well, then you're also going to get that same Carson Wentz that's going to have the bonehead fumbles, the bonehead interceptions. Or you get a Carson Wentz today that's kind of managing the game a little bit, literally just taking the play calling as it is, not having any turnovers, not putting the defense in bad positions, but we're also not getting those ridiculous, wow, exciting highlight reel plays. So, Carson, I'm going to give him C for no turnovers, maybe a C plus for no turnovers. But I really, it'd be easy. It would make my life a lot easier for this video to explain that, yeah, Carson Wentz had a bad day. It's the reason why we lost. He just, the only negative is he just didn't make any wow plays. Other than that, he just took the plays that were there. And that's kind of what we've been asking for Carson Wentz to do over the last couple weeks, coming off of a lot of turnover-heavy games. Miles Sanders, 5.7 yards per carry, 85 yards. That looked good, but he didn't even look good. He had 3 drops out the backfield. They were not ducks from Carson Wentz. They were just concentration drops. Miles Sanders already looking downfield. So I can't even say Miles Sanders looked good today. Because in reality, he is a modern-day running back. He is a guy that absolutely can get 5, 6, 7, 8 catches a game, and he was dropping them out there. He had running between the tackles. He was very good. Catching was bad, so that negates to just a meh game for Miles Sanders. He has to be better. You look at the Philadelphia Eagles offense, right? And as much as you like Travis Fulgham, he's still kind of Travis Fulgham, right? So you look at every team in the NFL kind of has some superstar players they can line on. Any team that's worth a damn, any team that's in position right now to go on a playoff run, they have at least a guy, that one game-changing guy. And you look at Philadelphia, and like we don't really have any of them. The only one would be probably Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders has to be that guy, right? And I don't know, man. He has to play better. Miles Sanders has to play better. The rest of the running backs, Boston Scott, 63 yards. He had 3 carries. You know, it's one of those things where we had to run the ball more. Absolutely. On third down, they were just passing it. When, I mean, you can't look at Boston Scott's yards per carry because it's 21. But when you look at Miles Sanders, 85 yards, 15 carries. You look at Boston Scott, 3 carries, 63 yards. Run the ball more. I get it. Doug Peterson's part of that Andy Reid coaching tree that just hates running the ball. But, you know, if you're going to call the play calls, like this, it all just comes back to play calling. The biggest reason why the Eagles offense struggled today was play calling. They couldn't get anything going on first and second down. Terrible play calling. Anyone else love it when Jalen Hurts comes out and the defense is like, oh, they're just going to 100% run it. Like, it worked for like half a game. And then nothing came of it from Jalen Hurts and these running attacks. It's super predictable. It gets our offense out of rhythm. And, you know, I think where this season went wrong was when Jeffrey Lurie pretty much made Doug Peterson fire Mike Groh as our offensive coordinator. Mike Groh wasn't good enough. Mike Groh was not a good offensive coordinator. We had, you know, he was a wide receiver background offensive coordinator. Our wide receiver was showing 0 signs of development. So clearly Doug's a guy. I don't think Doug Peterson will ever fire anybody. That's just the kind of person he is. That's why you see all of his tendencies, his reluctance to change and all this stuff, because he just doesn't want to do it. So when Jeffrey Lurie kind of forced the hand there, was like, Doug, get rid of Mike Groh. We got to bring in another offensive coordinator. This is not good enough. And then Doug Peterson like stalled, had some interviews, brought in some guys from college football that would be interesting. Remember that Graham Harrell, the OC from USC? And I was like, yes, bring that. That's what we need. Another creative, fresh new ideas to interject in this building. And then Doug Peterson's like, no, we're not going to hire an OC this year. That was the beginning of the end for the season for the Eagles. Even if we find a way to fall ass backwards in the playoffs, because we still are somehow first place in the NFC East, that is the defining moment this season. I would say even more so than blowing a second-round pick on Jalen Hurts. Both unforgivable. But even with a Jalen Hurts kind of just as a development, a very, very expensive draft capital developmental player, you know, you can still win with that. But you can't win with really lackadaisical, uninspiring, uncreative play calling. And that's exactly what we had last year. That's exactly what we have this year, because not a goddamn thing changed. You know what we did? We brought back Marty Morningweg, who was horrific in Philly the last time he was here with Andy Reid. Then we got some guy from Denver. Yeah, Denver's known to have a great offense. They've only been churning through quarterback. Like, oh yeah, we got the Denver guy who's there with Joe Flacco, that prolific. Like, it is, that's my biggest frustration. Like, it's not rage, it's not anger, it's literal frustration from things that any non-casual Eagle fan would have understood as it played out. Like, as soon as Philly said they're not hiring an OC, you're just gonna be like, oh, well, we know what's gonna happen now, and it's exactly what's happened this season. Oh, we don't have a good quarterback coach. Maybe Carson Wentz needs a guy that can challenge him a little bit. Get back into the Frank Reich, DeFilippos. No, let's keep Press Taylor there, buddy. Yeah, that's going to bring the best out of Carson Wentz. Let's see how that doesn't work this season. Oh, it's playing out exactly that way. And it's like, oh, look, they drafted Jalen Hurts in the second round outside of maybe getting a corner that's taller than 5'9" that can play on the outside, or get a linebacker that is worth a damn. No, Jalen Hurts, I'm sure that's not going to work out. And every time Jalen Hurts, he has had one, maybe 2 good plays. And every other time he comes in, he's predictable. He fumbles, which he struggled with turnovers in Oklahoma. Like, I still cannot believe Jalen Hurts had a second-round grade from the Philadelphia Eagles. Like, there is... receiving. Well, you know, make a lot about Philadelphia getting all their skill position players back, and still Richard Rodgers leads the team in receiving yards. So, yeah. Defensively, Singleton and TJ Edwards had a lot to act. You know, as much as I kind of think Singleton and Edwards, like, I wonder. It's like one of those things, if you put a hypothetical, if Philly's running 3 linebackers and you put someone like a Bobby Wagner, just for an example, throwing it out there. If you had Bobby Wagner out there, I firmly believe that if you had a really talented linebacker, Singleton and TJ Edwards could be really good complementary options. Those could be guys that you clearly put in rundowns. You could put one of them with a really good linebacker, and you can kind of mask them. Those are guys that are not bad. They're not liabilities, but they're just not game changers. Not guys that are going to be able to make ridiculous plays. They kind of make plays that are in front of them. So I really do think if Philly's like just one linebacker, people look at it and be like, oh, Philly, we need a bunch of new linebackers. We just need one. Philly needs to get one good. He doesn't have to be elite. Just give me like a healthy Jordan Hicks caliber linebacker. And Edwards and Singleton are good enough to be complementary options. But when they're expected to be the guys, it's just, they're not good enough. They just, here's an example. It's like we get, you have linebackers right now that can drop back into coverage, can make great plays on tight ends. You get linebackers that can cover running backs with the backfield. These aren't those guys. These are guys that when the offense, the front guys in front of them, the D-line, does their job, and there's a play to be made, they'll make it. They'll make a wrap-up tackle more often than not. They're reliable. They're a steady hand. They're Stuart Bradleys, for those of you guys that are a little bit older Eagle fans. But you need that one guy, and we don't have that one guy. And maybe we could have got one in the second round. Jeremy Chin has been pretty goddamn good for the Panthers. There's talent to be had, and it's Logan Wilson seems to be pretty damn good for the Cincinnati Bengals right now. And here we are. And you had Nickel Roby-Coleman, terrible. He is terrible. Vontae Maddox on the outside, terrible. Darius Slay this is his worst game. Like, he has to be able to lock down Darius Slayton. And there was just plays that I think were definitely give credit Daniel Jones and Slayton making plays. But it's kind of like you need Darius Slay to be the eraser on those big plays. He's the type of caliber player that can counter the best play the Giants have, because they still had Darius Slay get the pass breakup. He wasn't making those plays today. So, I mean, the defensive front was solid. We got some pressure. Hargrave half sack, a sack for Fletcher Cox, sack for Derek Barnett. There was pressures and stuff like that, but the back end was terrible. And, you can't make Wayne Gallman look like Saquon Barkley. You can't let Daniel Jones look like Lamar Jackson. That's what Jim Schwartz's defense did. So, don't care enough to get super upset and ruin my day. We got some new Call of Duties out. I'm having a solid time playing that. I'm not going to let it ruin my weekend anymore. That was not a rage-inducing loss right there, because that was just straight up, we were not better. The better team won this game, and I just have to talk about why Philly's not good right now versus me being irate about the refs or irate about one vital play. It was a dozen different plays to the reason why Philly lost. So, yeah, I don't know. I guess, and I hope that for all you Eagle fans right now that are just, borderline depressed, not happy with the season, maybe the Eagles Madden franchise that's now on the channel. Go check out the first episode. I spent like 4 hours editing that video. Hopefully that Eagles franchise now can kind of help us cope with just how bad this team is. And my closing thought is I did have a belief, maybe a false sense of hope, that when Philadelphia started to get healthy again, we would be able to put it together. We'd be able to go on a little bit of run. Maybe if we're looking at this upcoming stretch, steal a couple victories from teams that are playing a little bit better than us. But I'm just left today going, yep, we are very much what our record is. Healthy or not, backups or not, Philly is not a good team this year. And it all started by not hiring an OC. Followed up by getting a backup quarterback who I don't think will ever be more than a backup quarterback in the second round, and cutting Sidney Jones so that we can have a bunch of junior high schoolers, size corners playing on the outside, where Sidney Jones is now thriving in Jacksonville to pick against Aaron Rodgers today. So, let me know what you guys feel about in the comments. See you guys tomorrow. Go Eagles, still first place in the division.